Hello, welcome back to the channel. You've been here before. If you haven't and you like the content of this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up because it really helps the channel. It'd be very much appreciated. On today's video, I'm just going to talk about why I took a down week or an easy week in training. This week my volume has been really low and the intensity has been quite low as well, and there's a couple of reasons why I did that. The first reason for taking a down week is that I've been training fairly consistently for about 20 years now. Certainly over the last 10 years, I would say, barring a period where I was injured for about 6 weeks, I probably ran most of those weeks 2 or 3 times over that 10-year period, and a lot of weeks I would have done probably 5 to 6 runs a week, or 5 to 6 days a week. Certainly I would say an average over that whole period of that 10 years, I probably have around 4 times a week at least, I would imagine. Back when I was just marathon training, I was doing 6 days a week for a couple of years. Anyway, what I noticed during that period was that I often get periods where I really just don't feel like training, where I have plenty of time to go and do it. When the time comes, it's not a lack of motivation thing. It just feels like my body's tired and my motivation is low, but I often feel that I just want to rest, and that's how I felt this week. So I reflected over my training, and certainly for the last 10 weeks since I started doing the MAF training, I've been doing minimum of 8 hours a week up to 10 hours training a week, which is pretty good. It's been very consistent, but I slipped into this period now, like I said, where I just felt like I needed a recuperation. So I knocked all the intensity down this week, and I also knocked off the volume big time. The second reason for taking the down week was due to the fact that I got my first COVID-19 vaccine this week. So I knew that was coming on Wednesday. I got a text on the Saturday. So knowing I was due a down week or an easy week, and knowing I was getting the vaccine, I thought this would be a good week to just let the body have a little bit of calm and get the Pfizer vaccine, which I was absolutely delighted to get. I got my first vaccine, so I should get the next one in 4 weeks' time. Just a note on the vaccine is that I asked the vaccinator if I could exercise afterwards, and she said yeah, it was totally fine. So I got the vaccine around 1:50 in the afternoon, and I went out for a really easy run, just an easy 5k. I was at about 3:30 that day, and then later on that evening, 7 o'clock, I did my first pool swim since the pools reopened, which leads me on to the third reason why I took a down week this week. As I said, the pools were reopening, and last week I had swam in the sea once, so I knew swimming was back in the agenda. Now, I'm certainly not the world's greatest swimmer. I'm alright at swimming, and I have found in the past that when I go back to swimming after hiatus, it really wipes me out for the first couple of sessions. So knowing I swam in a lake on Monday, open water swim, I knew that was coming, and then first session of pool Wednesday night, and then second session 6 AM on Friday. So I just knew that was going to take its toll in terms of tiredness, and knowing that tiredness and lack of sleep is one of the major drivers towards injury, I thought I'll just go with it this weekend and just try and absorb that little bit of training before next week begins. Due to the current COVID restrictions still in place in Ireland, we only get to swim twice a week with the Tri Club in the pool. So they had an option of one night swim 7 PM and one other night swim 6 AM. They call it a morning swim, but 6 AM is not the morning. setting your alarm for 5:45 is getting up in the middle of the night as far as I'm concerned. So actually, while we're on that, do you prefer to train early morning, afternoon or evening? Stick your answer in the comments below. And also, if you have any tips or comments that you'd like to make on how one might get accustomed to getting up early to train, leave them too, because I'm beginning to think it's going to have to go that way for me, because my wife is training for a half Ironman too. So time is getting scarce in our house. Just leading into this week, I felt like my body was saying, look, we put in a good block, you know, we've held up well, and it's time just to ease off, hit the brakes for a little bit, have a week just to have a bit of normality, I suppose, and then get back at it from next week. That run rounds out this week, so that was yesterday. It's now Sunday evening. I had planned to run today or to cycle. The weather was really nice, it was a really warm day, but when you take these down weeks, quite often what you find is as the week goes on and you get more rest, you get more tired too. So I just didn't feel like doing it today. I had a busy day with the kids, coaching football and standing on the side of football pitches, so I just said I'll knock it on the head and take a full day rest and be really ready for it tomorrow. So I'm super excited about getting back into training this week coming. I've got an update on the MAF. So I think I've done 9 to 10 weeks of pure MAF training now, save those 2 5k time trials I did. Everything else I think was pretty much MAF. But going into this week now coming, I'm going to add in 1 workout a week. Not that I don't think the MAF is working, I do. The race, one of the first race I was supposed to do was Cork, Ironman Cork. That has been cancelled. So I signed up to another race which is in Tyrone at the end of July. So I've got about 8 weeks before that. And I've been watching some videos with Mark Allen, the 6-time Ironman world champion. He was the guy who kind of made famous the Maffetone method, because that's the type of training he did before winning the Ironman the first time. And I was watching some interviews of him during the week, and he talked about how leading into a race, Phil Maffetone would give him specific workouts to do. So I'm going to go back to some of the old running workouts I did. I'm going to start with it this week, so it's probably going to be a workout Wednesday now for the next couple of weeks. I'll probably start off this week just to blow off the cobwebs with the old classic of 15 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off. I always find that was a really good workout, so I'll probably give that one a bash. I'm not sure yet. I'll kind of sit down. I'm going home now. I'll sit down and I'll have a think about it and plan out the week ahead. And but the other runs, all the other runs during the week, I'll probably try and run 4 times every week, so they'll all be MAF runs. The long run will certainly be a MAF run, but just that once a week I will do that higher intensity stuff. And it'll be interesting to see how the MAF numbers come out when I do that test again. I'll continue doing the testing, so it'll be 3 weeks away now before I do the test. But that is the update on the MAF. On the injury side of training, barring taking away trauma and accident, so let's say you're out on your bike and you fall, you crash, you break your collarbone, you're out for 6 weeks. That's an accident. There's not much you can do about that. Or you're out running and you hit your knee off a bench or a wall and you get a bit of swelling. That's again accident. Or you're running along, you fall off a curb and you do a stress fracture in your foot or tear some ligaments. Again, accident. There's nothing you can do about that. You're injured, you're out. If you take away any sort of trauma and accident, and you have an injury or a pain that's keeping you for training, that's not due to trauma and accident, then you've just overlooked some stuff. You've been falling into the old adage of doing too little for too long or too much too soon, and like I said, not listen to your body. Any of those sort of chronic long-term injuries, the niggles that just get worse and worse, and then you take some rest off and you go back and you try and get back into it, and the pain comes back or the injury comes back, and then you take another couple of weeks off and you try again. What you've done is you've not managed a condition that you would have had lots of signs for it leading into it. Ignoring the signs, maybe go too hard, go hard or go home kind of attitude. I'll just keep going, I'll work through it. You really do, if you want to have longevity in the sport, you really do have to think about your body, think about the capacity it has to absorb the training and the amount of time that you need in terms of rest and recovery. And if you're not getting your rest and recovery, if you're kind of just at it all the time at it, you can be pretty sure that eventually you can be certain that you're either going to be injured or find yourself with an illness. There's nothing surer. You need to absorb your training. You need to be very aware of how much rest and recovery you need, and you need to make sure that you absolutely get that rest and recovery, which is why I try and put a down week in every couple of months for sure. If I'm building up to some high volume and high intensity training, I would take them more often. And then when I'm just kind of ticking along doing the low aerobic stuff like the MAF training, you wouldn't need one as often as I will now, and I start doing these workouts leading into the next race. Anyway, any comments on that, just pop them in the comments bar below, and I will happily answer any questions that you have. So that's pretty much an update on the MAF. That's the end of the down week, or the easy week. I explained, yeah, the 4 reasons why I did that, and I think they're pretty legitimate. I don't have any regrets. You definitely do feel a little bit of guilt during the week when you're not doing the training that you should do, thinking everybody else is out doing these sessions and I'm sitting here doing nothing. But I think you always find when you do those down weeks that you get a little bit of a bounce, that your training gets a little bit of a surge upwards. So fingers crossed I will feel that this week. I think I will, and I shall let you know if I do in the next video.